my goodness, welcome back to another episode of Learn to Play Yu-Gi-Oh! It was my Konami monthly mandated shower day. If you haven't taken yours this month, make sure you schedule that. This episode, we're going to be talking about trigger effects. So let's get into it. As a review, you know a card activates when you see a colon or it has an activation requirement when, if, cost that has to be paid, and you activate the card in order to use its effect. One type of effect in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a trigger effect. Let's look at Cupsy Yummy for an example. So the first part of the card is our activation requirement. You have to control a Link 1 monster or a level 2 Synchro monster in order to special summon the card from your hand. But then if this card is normal or special summoned, colon, you can add one Yummy card from your deck to your hand. So this is a trigger effect. You normal summon Cupsy. At this point, it has met its trigger. It has been normal summoned. You can now attempt to activate the effect to search. This type of trigger effect is known as an on-summon effect. There are so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That have on-summon effects. Not all trigger effects are on-summon effects. For example, Draco Tail Arthalion says, if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step. So that is the trigger. So that's the, activation requirement is that 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time. That if is going to then trigger your ability to attempt to activate the effect. Trigger effects don't occur immediately. I think great examples of this are the Magnemite cards that say if this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, you can add a dragon monster from deck or graveyard to your hand. If for some reason a trigger effect does not have to occur in the window immediately after the trigger happened, like immediately after it was summoned, immediately after 2 monsters were sent to the graveyard, the card will typically tell you. So this one says that you're going to do the search during end phase. It is important to note though that you have to activate the effect in that window still. So you special summon Magnemite. It is your job as the player to say activate the effect to search at end phase. If you don't activate the effect, you don't get the search. So you're technically still activating the effect immediately in that trigger window, like right after it was triggered, but you're not resolving it until end phase. And so cards that don't resolve immediately, the card will tell you when it's going to resolve. The star of the trigger effect is if. Yes, there can be whens. We're not talking about when though, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of like the English language where 99% of the time things will be true, but there's always going to be something that like breaks the rule, right? Like if is the easiest way to notice that it's a trigger effect. There will be things like when, that's going to impact timing, and that's like a whole other conversation we can have. But for right now, trigger effects focus on if. If this thing happens, if a card is normal special summoned, you get to do the effect of this. If 2 cards are sent from the field to the graveyard at the same time, you get to do this effect.